My name is Maas, and I don't know about you, but I enjoy rock climbing. A famous German rock climber named Wolfgang Gullich, his quote is, "In climbing, you are always faced with new problems in which you must perform using intuitive movements and then later analyze them to figure out why they work and then learn from them." So I'm going to be going over gear used in rock climbing, climbing techniques, and different types of climbs. So gear used in rock climbing, you have your helmet, which is optional depending on where you're at, your harness, your shoes, your chalk bag. You have two different types of carabiners, a belay device, bolts and cams, which is your protection, and your climbing ropes. So here I have one locking carabiner. So you have locking and non-locking carabiners. You have your ATC, which is your belay device, which is your descending device. You also have dynamic and static rope. This rope right here is a dynamic rope. A dynamic rope is not as elastic and only used for certain types of climbs. So techniques used in rock climbing, you have edges, hooking, mantling, stemming, side pull, and you always want to make sure when you're climbing that you keep your hips as close as possible to the wall. That's so if you do, your hips and shoulders, so if you do fall off, you won't fall as far, and it's to help you not fall off the wall. The closer you are to the wall, the easier it will be on your body so you don't fall. And you always want to make sure when you're climbing to use your eyes. Find your route, or at least look for a route that you think you could take before you do start the climb. So types of climbs, there's bouldering, canyoneering, competition climbing, free climbing, lead climbing, top rope, and multi-pitch. I'll be going over the lead climb, top rope, and multi-pitch climbs. So for top rope is the one climb that uses your static rope. You don't fall as far, so there's no reason to use a dynamic rope. You can use a dynamic rope for this, but there's no reason to, because you don't fall as far with this. You have your partner will belay for you from the bottom side, and the rope will be anchored at the top as well at the bottom. But the reason it's called top rope because it's anchored at the top and your partner is at the bottom belaying down for you. You won't fall as far top roping as you will for the other two types of climbs, only because the rope is at the top coming down. So you only fall the distance if your partner isn't paying attention and not pulling the slack for you as you go up. As you go up, your partner pulls the slack down, and it makes it so if you do fall, you just hang there. So yeah, lead climbing's next. Something that I was taught when lead climbing is you want to make sure that's 5, 5, and alive. What that means is when you're using an anchor point, you want to make sure it's at least 5 feet tall and 5 inches thick. You can use roots, you can use boulders, anything that's dense and thick enough that you know won't move if you do fall. Your partner belays from the bottom. Pro placement is key in this one because if you do fall, you're going to fall twice the distance as the last piece of protection you put in the wall. So if it's at your feet, you're going to fall twice your height. So now we have multi-pitch. So multi-pitch is generally it's the same thing as lead climbing, except for this one. Ropes are between 150 and 200 feet long. The bigger the rope is, the heavier it is on your body and the harder it's going to make it climb. So once you realize that you're almost out of rope or almost out of protection that you have to put into the wall, you want to stop where you're at and you want to place at least 3 pieces of protection into the wall. Those 3 pieces of protection, once you clip into them, your partner is going to climb the same exact route that you took, and he's going to take all the pieces of protection out of the wall that you placed. He's going to clip it to his harness. Once he reaches to you, he's going to finish the climb up to the top or to the next pitch position, and you're going to belay from where you're at. You're going to belay him, so if he falls, he won't fall as far. So I've gone over the gear, the techniques and tips, the types of climbs, as well as I went through top rope, lead climb, and multi-pitch. So with that, there's only one way down generally when speaking of climbing, which if you climb up a route, you got to come back down the route. So this is a technique used when climbing. And for this is called rappelling, and you use the same exact stuff that you use for harness, or that you use for rock climbing. You use your harness and the ropes. So the for citations, I used Wolfgang Goetze's quote: "In climbing, you're always faced with new problems in which you must perform using intuitive movements." And then later, so that was it's a quote from Quote Fancy, and some of the gear that I used for all the information I used for the gear, I got it from Till M, which was published 2020 August 12th, from the article Rock Climbing Unraveled, as well as the different types of routes and climbs. I got it from Kirby T, and that article was American Alpine Institute. Thank you.